I was just asking Paul if he wanted me to say something about him, and he wasn't sure. But him and I met, I'm going to say this, him and I met one day on the sidewalk at the Forks. I went to all the rallies, as many as I could, but I really never got out of my truck. You may have noticed that. That's how I met most of the people that I felt were really well researched, because they just came to the truck and then we talked. And then him and I met a few days later, and he talked for 3 hours. And he's very well researched. And I don't know if I need to say, I need to give you a warning, but the things that Paul has researched and affirmatively knows, a lot of you will have never heard this information before. And it's not candy coated, and it's not pleasant, but he knows his shit, and he's going to tell you what it is.
No, I don't want to stand on the stage, no. All the world's a stage, and all men and women are but actors on it. They knew that we were going to come out here thousands of years ago. 428 BC, Plato, when he said, what did Plato say? He said, there will be those who can see through the shadows and lies of one's culture. They will never be understood, let alone believed by the masses. And that's you guys. And the Bible, they will have ears to hear and eyes to see. They knew you were coming. They knew you guys were coming. So a lot of the stuff I researched had to do with the economy, economics, and about 20,000 hours before COVID came, I was tracking these people. It's just as crazy back then as it is now, but it was hidden in numbers back then. So it came to me about a year and a half ago, exactly how these guys played this out, and we were all unwittingly playing along, and we didn't even know it. You have the 2008 housing crash. Everybody here, most people will remember that. And that led into 2009 when Bitcoin came out. H1N1 also came out in 2009. 24% vaccination rate in the United States. In Europe, it was even worse. And that US vaccination rate is mostly children in schools. So Big Pharma knew they were going to have a problem with vaccine hesitancy. They knew people just weren't going to take it. That was their little test run, 24% pathetic. And you know the numbers they want. They want 90%. So how are you going to do that? The 2008 housing crash gave them the ability to lower the interest rates around the world. Turned all of us into debt slaves, slowly. 0% financing on vehicles. Everybody here was taking debt. I was buying properties, cars. We all took on debt. So they kept inflation at 1.4% the whole time. 13 years at 1.4%. They created an environment where we felt comfortable to go and take money. Because they knew. When did they let inflation run? Inflation ran when the vaccines came out. That's when they let inflation run. 5 stages to take that vaccine. They had their voluntary, then their bribery with the lotteries. Then they got my mom on the 3rd one. That was peer pressure. And the 4th one, to tackle vaccine hesitancy, was mandating. And they mandated us all. 400 guys I work with, 20 of us walked. They got them all because they all had $90,000 trucks. They had houses. Look at the housing market that took off. The housing markets took off around the world. We took all that debt and put ourselves in a position. We were played for 13 years. Those guys played us. Yep. So And as we came up to 2020, Trump starts a trade war. All of a sudden, people are losing their jobs. Factories are shutting down. Frog in the boiling water, eh? They were conditioning us for 2020. And that's how they brought that in. So they kept the inflation at 1.4, low interest rates around the world. They sucked us in and they played us. And when every single guy I talked to at work said I had to do it, I got a mortgage and bills, and they knew that. They knew that. We were participating in the vaccine hesitancy, the answer to it, and we didn't even know. Yep. So the trade wars prepped us for 2020. They conditioned us in to lock it down. If you shock the people, then they're like the frog. They're going to jump out of the pot of water. It's a continual conditioning process with these people. They're doing it right now by pulling back on the masks and the mandating. But these guys aren't stopping. We're at war right now. But there's only one side that's shooting bullets, digital bullets at us right now. They're in the background and they're digitalizing the SMEs. That's how Trudeau says it. We're spending $4 billion on SMEs to digitalize. But people are thinking, well, what's an SME? He has to use acronyms when he speaks because he can slide stuff past, but that's small and medium enterprise. Small's 100, medium enterprise is 500. So these guys are digitalizing. The minute we go digital, I figure within 2 years, we got 2 years to figure that out because we're gonna have a difficult time when digital comes. That's it, because they have many ways of corralling us into that lineup for a needle if they go digital. So they kept that inflation at 1.4. They kept us down low. We spent our money, and then the vaccines. But that's only the fourth stage of those vaccines. The minute that we go digital, the fifth one and final one comes out, and that's going to be, you want food? Yep. You're taking that vaccine. Yep. So the Pfizer came out December 11th, 2020. Emergency use authorization. Donald Trump's in office he's pushing, Operation Warp Speed. The Republicans, and for any of you who don't know, Donald Trump is New World Order. Yeah. That's a fact. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute, but these guys are brilliant what they're doing. They shared the vaccine between two presidents. They knew that they couldn't have one president do it. It had to be shared. And they made Trump look like he was unsuccessful, but our team will be successful. Biden will be successful. So they played it from December, just when Trump was about to leave office and Biden took over. He handed the torch of the vaccines, shared it with the Democrats and the Republicans. Yeah, so these people use misdirection. I'll give you an example. When Hillary Clinton was running against Trump, Linda Rothschild had a dinner for Hillary Clinton. $100,000 a plate. They'd already selected Trump. They're making it look like they're backing someone when they've already selected a guy. And if you don't think the Rothschilds selected Donald Trump, 1994, he's financing his casinos at 14% junk bonds, $675 million. And there was a recession and he's going down fast. In steps Wilbur Ross, Rothschild distressed asset manager. Bails out Trump 50% on his properties. Who does Donald Trump make Commerce Secretary in 2016? Wilbur Ross. He filled his administration with Rothschild bankers. And he also fills his administration with people who do favors for his side. Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Remember that guy? Yeah. That island? So you got Jeffrey Epstein. Why is he bringing all these people, all these rich elites out to his island? He's building control files 25 years ago. They're building control files. They've got all of them. They got everybody, right? 2008, Jeffrey Epstein goes in on a molestation charge, 14-year-old girl in Florida. He's looking at 10 to 15 years. But he only gets 10 months in jail. And he's allowed to leave for 12 hours a day. His district attorney was Alex Acosta. Who did Trump make labor secretary in 2016? Give you one guess. Alex Acosta. So Trump's been building with these people. They all work together. These guys, what did Kissinger say? Control the food, control the people, control the energy, control the nation, control the money, you control the world. Not 95% of the world. You control the world. These guys control everything. If you're seeing them on TV, they're either outright them or they're controlled opposition, predictive programmers. They control it all. The TV should be shut off around the world because it's what they're doing, you know. Does anyone have questions?
Keep going.
Has anyone got questions? Any questions? What are we going to do about it? That's what everyone says. What's the solution? So we were sitting around the campfire last night. We said that 100 times. What's the solution? What's the solution? I believe what Marcus is saying, unity is the solution. Getting to unity is the problem. We lack organization and we lack numbers. And you think people are saying, well, let's wait. We got to wake them up. We got to wake them up. How many times have we heard that? You wake up critical mass, they will push the reset button on you. These guys got plan A, B, C, D, E, F. They're 20 moves ahead of our knowledge of this situation. They control it all, man. All of it. Look at the doctors, the black doctors in Africa. They're on the other side of the grass now. They control all these people. Biden's 1.2 trillion spending package in January 2021 when he took office. You sent 25 million to Pakistan for gender studies. You're sending 50 million, 75 million to all of these countries. I believe those were payouts for lockdowns on their countries. If they don't got you with blackmail, then they're paying you off. Or like Carrie Mullis, the PCR test, you're dead. Honey and Barry Sherman in Toronto, Apotex, remember that, 2017? These people were closing circles up way back. They've been working a long time. This has been a long effort with those people. But I do believe unity is the answer.
What do you see with digitalization?
Digitalization. Starbucks went cashless October 1st. I believe the professional sports teams, the baseball players, I think it was, just went cashless.
What is the process?
The banks are corrupt. The whole system's corrupt. They don't care about the law anymore. This is about perception management of the masses. It's all perception management. See, we know the truth. Yeah. The banks are corrupt look, Scotiabank, Bank of America, Citibank, they all got caught fixing and manipulating gold and silver. They got fined. That was recently. They were paying out in the tens of millions in fines for that. The big banks don't care as long as they make more money than the fine is. Jamie Dimon's telling them, I don't care what you guys do, as long if you get us fined 100 million, you better make 200 million, right? Nobody goes to jail. There's two rules. There's them and then there's us. So, but for digitalization, I'll tell you something, I don't care about COVID. I could care less about the vaccine. That don't scare me. The things that worry me are a lot of the stuff they're spraying. And the most thing that terrifies me is digitalization. That keeps me up at night.
Why?
That keeps me up at night because the minute we go digital, how much food do you got? These guys got this thing architected. The architecture is complex and they got moves ahead of us that we can't even comprehend. Back in the 70s, when they were running out of gold and silver, they just created a fake paper market. These guys they're very smart people, you know, and then they use their think tanks. They got the agriculture, economic, they've got military think tanks. They're smart enough to know when they see, look, I'm not going to talk about what you're talking about today because I understand that you are more knowledgeable than I am. They know when to hand the torch and when to ask somebody else. It's not that they're ingenious. It's that they have the money and the capabilities to build this. Like 9/11, people said, how can they all keep that secret? These people compartmentalize everything. They're compartmentalizing and keeping people separate on their side. A lot of them are unknowingly participating in this. Look at 9/11. If he builds the container, he builds the pressure switch, he builds the igniter, they don't all know what each other is doing. They construct it together. So the digitalization is what's it truly keeps me up at night. And you're seeing it faster and faster. I don't want to give anyone financial advice, but what I have done is I moved a lot into gold and silver, and I'm holding that, right? So it's in my possession. There's no counterparty. These guys brought out Bitcoin. They say a guy named Satoshi made Bitcoin. That's bullshit. That's not true. There's no Satoshi. That's CIA, NSA. These guys created Bitcoin as the embryo stage of digitalization, digital enslavement. And they baited the mousetrap with greed. And we took that one too. Yep. And we ran with it. So they just puffed it along, Bitcoin. I was saying that in 2012. There's the digitalization enslavement. Been watching them a long time. And if you, the craziness in those years, I was telling someone last night, they did an audit on the government. Catherine Austin Fitz, Mark Skidmore is the PhD economist at Michigan State University. And they found 21 trillion missing in the US. And so the US did an audit. And then they pulled off the whole internet, all the stuff, and they said, that's okay, we downloaded it. But when they looked into it, they said, oh, we found nothing. And then they passed a bill called FASB 56. And they took 125 government agencies dark. You can't look at their financial records. They don't care. If whatever it is, and they're going to get more blatant. So people think, oh, Russia's doing this and the Ukraine. Pieces on the chessboard for these people. They control this planet. And if I was working for them and they told me this has to be done, look, these guys use economic hitmen around the world. They go into a country like Panama. They say, hey, we want to, you can borrow money, build these dams and all this stuff, and then you'll make so much money. The World Bank comes in, loans them. They build, and Halliburton gets all the contracts. So these are all, they got this all figured out. If these presidents don't agree with them, then they send in a CIA jackal. He takes the president out, blows up his plane. It's happened many times. Then they install somebody like the Shah of Iran. They bring their own person in, and then they put a military base in that country. They've taken over this whole world, right? These guys control us through fear. That's all it is. Russia's coming. China's coming. Hey, the gig's up, man. The gig's up. Let's get real here. These guys have been controlling us for years with fear. And no more. It's all, you know it, right? Well, we're not fearful. Well, maybe of digitalization, but not of anything else. That's all, it's all fear. And we're so, like, you must look at the rest of the world and go, why are they so, and they'll fall for it. And they have. So, that digitalization is, they're gonna, they can completely control you with digitalization. They could take your currency and they can tether you. It's like let's say Bonnie's here, and they look. She holds this rally, and I'll tell you something. The residual effects of her holding this rally, people, those can carry on for years,
Yep.
right? So she's not gonna. They're gonna know who she is.
Yep.
So
Thank you,
they can say you had a rally, and then all of a sudden, her cryptocurrency only works 2 kilometers from her house. They can tether her to her primary location. These guys are going to have a control with that digital that's going to blow your mind. You know what? All the lies, all the stuff you see on TV, the BS, this and that, that's all gone. In digitalization, we don't need lies anymore. We don't need to live like that anymore, because you're complete. That is, humans have never seen that type of enslavement before. That's, people say, oh, communism, Trudeau, communism. No, it is a form of communism. The ownership, no ownership of private property, but where we're going, I call it enslavementism.
Yeah.
It's much more. It's a controlling of every movement. They're putting the cameras in Winnipeg, every intersection. They're starting to move them in. And all of it, well, I don't know how many of you have noticed the blue lights. I gotta see. What's up with the blue lights? Yeah, I'm in touch with Hydro. I've been calling them for months. And these guys, I've had them actually fix 6 of them, right? So I have 2 Hydro guys that are gonna get me. They're trying to get me one of those blue lights so we can test it and see if, because they're telling us that they're faulty. The ceramics, this coating is coming off. But when you actually look deep, well, I know there are a lot of people have heard of luciferase. It could be checking out your arms, you know, if you're vaxxed. But blue LED light is very harmful to us. It confuses our circadian rhythm. It makes us think it's daytime. Oh yeah, it confuses. It slows down our neurotransmission, causes a thing called plasticity, where we have no ability for decision making, thought process. That's blue LED lights, and I bet a lot of you got one right underneath your television set. And you're staring out, like, 'cause I went over to my mom's, I was watching TV and I saw that blue light. It's all I can look at now, because now I didn't notice it before, right? There's a lot here that you don't notice, but causes mental disorders, causes mood disorders. Why are these blue lights? And I travel around quite far, and they're all the way up number 1 highway. They're in Portage, they're in Brandon. You're telling me you made faulty lights, put them in every, well, I don't think there's any in BC, but you put them in all these provinces, all the United States, you put them all around the world. So then you go look at the board of directors of the people making these blue lights, and you say, oh, there's some bankers in there. These people have a network right across the gamut. They control everything. Tucker Carlson controlled opposition. Alex Jones, predictive programmer. You want to know what the future holds? Watch Alex Jones, because they're feeding them the information, and he's conditioning. Everything is a conditioning with humans. We are very unsophisticated. Not these people, not you guys, but the majority are very unsophisticated in their thought process. So they know that. There's all controlled, all countries, all governments, all banks. Big Pharma is central bank. These people control it all. You can't get away from them. There's people think, oh, well, screw communism, we're going to bring back our country. You could have every single person in this country on the same page. You could have a new prime minister. They're going to mow you over. This is global. This is global. And people say, what's the solution? What's the solution? What's the solution? I believe if you want to take the whole world back, it's going to take unity. But you've talked to those people out there. The vaccinated people are unable to acknowledge a vaccine injury. They can't. I've asked thousands of them. I went to the car show a couple weeks ago, Sunday night, and a farmer walks up to me in Winnipeg and says, hey, I like your shirt. I said, okay. He says, I got 5 vaccine injured neighbors out in the farm where I am. And I said, oh, wow. I said, yeah, I know a lot. And I said, you want to see something really cool? He says, what's that? I said, see all these 12 kids walking at us here in their 20s? I said, watch this. I said, hey, you guys, come here. And they all walked up. There's 12 of them. And I said, are you guys all vaccinated? And they all shook their head. Yeah, we're all vaccinated. How many of you know of vaccine injuries? And they all looked at each other. Not one. It's every time you ask. They're unable to acknowledge a vaccine injury. And if you're wondering how, you may have heard of CRISPR technology. CRISPR technology, restructuring DNA, getting inside. These guys are doing it remotely. I watched that documentary, and that scientist said, if we could inject the Taliban, we can make them liberals. Think about that. And now you got these people that it just baffles you why you can't wake them up. That's all you got to know right there. I think MK Ultra, that mind control that they were doing in the 50s, 60s, ended up in the needle in the last 10 years. They have that capability. You will own nothing and you will be happy. They're going to raise these interest rates. They're not going to stop. The interest rates are more deadly than the vaccine. They control the money. Every time that interest rate goes up 1%, you probably got a mass mortality rate that follows with it due to no food. People are dropping off the bottom rung onto the streets in Winnipeg. For the first time this year, we got tents on Portage Avenue. I see them right by Maryland. Never seen that before. I'm seeing tent cities popping up. This is the disintegration of our society. And these guys control the money. They lowered those interest rates in 08 under the guise, we're going to get the economy going again. No, they knew you were going to become a debt slave, and they knew you would have to take that vax in order to pay your debt. So, where is it? Anyways, where was I? Yeah, you know what? I don't want to come up on the stage and talk, but you got to know. These guys control this whole show. They don't care about the law. They don't care about your common law. They don't care. This is going to condition us into a much more militant world here, and it's coming fast. What's the solution? I believe it if you could get unity, but I don't believe we've been heard enough for the rest of the world to join our unity. So go for unity, but if you don't got it, take care of yourself. Get yourself in a position that you can get food, you can grow, and then I would be getting on those seeds right away. Because they starved out the ammunition. You can't get black powder, primer, you can't get a lot of the bullets, right? They don't need to get rid of the guns. They just take out the bullets. That's it. You had a question there? You know what? Swore an oath, like the doctor that I grilled in my dad's hospital room last week. Yeah. How many vaccine injuries do you know of? He goes, oh, I don't know of any. He swore a Hippocratic oath, and I said, you know what? You know that I know that you're full of shit, and we're coming for you. And I told that doctor right in front of my mom and dad, we're coming for you. But as for the oath, you know what? I see. I always sound like gloom and doom, right? There is nothing. There are no rules on this table anymore. If you want to hide behind common law, you might as well go take the vax. You want to stand and say, oh, but I have the right for that. They don't care. Speak into the AK-47, please. That's what they'll tell you. This is so big how they constructed this. It's huge. They're not going to care about anything. All they see is opposition, and that's you. The biggest enemy to these people. And they couldn't get you. You know, you made it 2.5 years, almost 3 years into this, and a lot didn't. But there are no rules. People say they'll hide behind the law. They can't do that. They don't care. The only reason they're upholding this illusion of a law is for perception management of the other people till they're finished spraying those ants with the, you know, the ant killer spray or whatever. They're taking them down. We're going down to a very much lower population here. This is like, look, I look at it like this. The foundation is population reduction. I think once people get that, they've all spoken about it. Bilderbergers, Kissinger, they all speak about it. They all talk about it. Look at Prince Philip. We all know that 1988 People magazine. I hope I come back as a virus to cure the world of their population problem. You know, there's a Bilderberger who said in his book, we will line them up to the slaughter as if they think it's the cure, and they will take themselves out. And they're doing it exactly like that. If you see enough pieces to the puzzle, you'll start putting it's all right there. If you read enough and see all those little things, and it makes quite the picture for you, and it's hard to debate that. That's what these people want. Oprah Winfrey, Ted Turner. Ted Turner did an interview in 2008 during the housing crash. He said, we got too many people. We have to reduce the population 50%. Go on Google or YouTube, type in Ted Turner population reduction. You'll see that 5-minute speech. He talks about too many people using too much stuff. So it's what they want. And they will, on that foundation of depopulation, they will stack digitalization. They will stack monitoring. They'll just keep chopping it right up, then they'll have their building. And they will live in their ivory tower with their little amount of slaves. But the thing is, like MIT says, by 2040, we collapse, right? I agree that, like, see, people say, oh, we could fit everybody in Texas. It's our resource problem. It's the resources. We're on a finite planet here. I understand that. I drive the trains that haul all this stuff. And they say there's a fertilizer shortage. I just brought 30,000 tons in the other day. And those trains are coming in 6 times a day. So I don't know what to do with all that fertilizer, but that's a lot. 30,000 tons at 2,000 pounds a ton. That's 60 million pounds. Even 6 times a day coming in. But they can't get it, so yeah, it's digitalization is going to, that's our death throw. 2 years. And it's going to come, you're going to see it condition right into it. Yeah, the hobgoblin of speculation for humans is that we always pick too short of a time frame. That's evident when you're investing. You see a stock, you invest in it, you think, oh, it's going to go up, but then it could take years. Speculation, when humans speculate, like 90% of the time, we pick too short of a time frame. This shit can draw out for more, lot more. I was an economy guy, and I've been watching this. Like in November 2019, I went on a podcast. I said, get ready, something big's coming. I did not see a virus, but the repo market collapsed in the United States. And then Brexit. They signed Brexit. That's where Britain was separating. 4 years they pushed Brexit. They pushed it. It was a trigger point. And when they said, we're signing Brexit, I knew. They pulled the trigger. Something big's coming here, you guys. And then we had that snowstorm in Winnipeg when all the trees bent sideways in October 11th, 2019. All these things happened. It made me realize something big's coming. It's going to be a war. I said it'll be a war, probably in the Middle East or something, to knock the economy over. Because at that point, I'm buying gold and silver. I knew the system was going down. The U.S. has 175 trillion in unfunded obligations. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They got so much debt. This is a debt problem. The average fiat currency lasts 35 years. And that's, we unpegged from gold. We lost it. They started printing and printing. They put us in this position. They knew it. They knew this. Everybody, There was a lot of people out there that knew this system. This system's done. We all knew the debt was growing like that. So. She went to the bank the other day and they asked her to scan her palm. Put your palm to get your money. Put your fingers in between the pegs. When was that? 2.5 weeks ago, I believe it was Steinbach Credit Union. The invasion of privacy, you're going to have no privacy.
How do you stop it?
That's the hard question.
Say it, man.
How do you stop it? The digitalization? Can everybody please take their cell phones out onto the highway? Yeah. Some of the idea, like I keep some, like, you know what I mean. How do you stop digitalization? You ask the hard questions. I don't see a way of stopping anything. On it, like I hate this. See, you have people bring positive messages, and then I'm always the doom and gloom guy. I don't see us stopping this. To be honest, I don't see us stopping this at all. This is huge. People say, oh, they're falling apart, they're doing that. No. Their falling apart creates more confusion, just like Brexit. When they signed Brexit, they wanted confusion in Europe. This is a Marxist tactic. They come in. The Russians have been doing it for years. They used Trump against Hillary Clinton. They divided the nation. You remember all Trump, how mad they were when Donald Trump was in there? People were saying they're going to leave the country, so they split it. Black Lives Matter. They throw it at you constantly. Roe versus Wade. As much confusion, distraction, keeps everybody at each other's throats and everything. We'll never get unity. That's why Hitler used fluoride in the Auschwitz. Slows you down. It makes you lethargic. You know, it takes away your ability to stand up. That's what they've done to this entire nation, North America, across Europe. They're angry, they're mad. We can't, that's their cure for unity, because they knew it was unity. And I believe that they know how we can beat them. Unfortunately, they won't tell us that. We have to figure it out. Think tanks, yes, exactly, think tanks. If you can get think tanks together, but the hardest thing about a think tank is assembling the people. You can't have somebody with a character trait like stubbornness or something like that. You have to be able to check your ego and your humbleness at the door. You got to sit there and you got to connect 6 brains. And I'll tell you, they know that works. I know that works. The best things I figured out is when I'm talking to another critical thinker. You're in that zone. You put 5 or 6 people in a circle, and you have to do that. If you want an ability to build a weapon against them, that's where it's going to come from. They know that. They know the think tanks are the answer. That's why they're up about 2/3 on the pyramid. That think tanks right across. You know, they know that. And that's where your answers will come from. But you got the hardest thing is to assemble those people. Because I'll tell you, I've only met, I can count on one hand in 2.5 years. You know, like, it's not even a knowledge-based thing. Everybody brings, like you right there, you probably got, you're probably my age, you got thousands of hours of experience in the world, of reading and of this and that. So let's say you got 20,000, I got 20, there's 40,000 hours of experience, those two. Let's get it up to 200,000 hours of knowledge. And then you talk, but you remain focused on one thing. Say you want to wake people up. That's all you focus on. And I've come up with some methods of that is you can't talk to somebody one-on-one. You need 2 or 3 people that are awake, because human nature is to feel, why don't I know what they know? You have to hit them on a level that hits them in the heart. Pure information, they don't care. You got to hit them. Another way you want to do it is walk into a line in a store. This happened to me the other day. 4 people in front, 4 behind, and a friend of mine walks up and says, "Hey, how's it going? I hadn't seen him in 20 years. He was an old neighbor." And he asked me, "You didn't get that vaccine, did you?" And I went, "No way, man." I go, "My mom's sick from it. My friends are sick from it. All the guys at work, people are dying. People are getting blood clots. Can you believe the idiots that took it?" And those idiots are listening, eavesdropping, and they know they shouldn't. So they'll focus on what you're saying. That's how you wake them up. If you want to do it, you set up these little sting operations. Have 2 or 3 people walk up to you and go, I was at Superstore the other day, and these 2 guys having a smoke. I was buying water. I think I bought 62 fours of water. I'm carrying it out, and these 2 guys, and I just, if I see someone in walking distance 24/7, I can't talk to you unless it's about what's going on in the world. The lady at Walmart, the girl at the drive-thru at McDonald's, I got to talk to them about it. Everybody, I can't not talk to them. Repetition. These guys, look, in 1960s, the KGB realized if you fear bombard people for 2 months or less, they will believe that message so deeply that no amount of information to the contrary will ever wake them up. We got 2 years. These people are rewired. You're not waking them up. And who knows what's in that vax? Chromosome deletion, we don't know. You're not waking those people up. But if you can hit them on a level where they feel in their stomach, I don't belong. These people know more than me. They'll feel that urge to belong to a group. That's why people gossip. People gossip. It's a human nature to be in the group and to gossip, right? It all works the same way. Make the eavesdropping one is the one I like the best, because I like talking loud in front of these people. Can you believe the idiots that, and the lady's wearing a mask right behind me, right? So, how do we survive? I was in Lake of the Woods 3 weeks ago looking at an island for sale, 7 acres, way out there. If you're near a road, you're not safe. If a road leads to you, they will come to you. The way I believe me, I've pondered this question countless hours. How do you survive? I think this is going to it's going to go ugly, and I think we're going to see who's standing on the other side. I've talked to a lot of people I work with and that I used to work with, and a lot of those, they're in their 30s, 40s, they're all hunters. And I said to them, you guys, like, if this thing goes crappy and you start to really realize, they said, well, we'll pick up our guns. They all said that. We will fight for what's right, you know? And those are vaccinated people. There's 3 different kinds. There's us. There's the vaxxed that wear the masks. They're pro-COVID. But there's a group in the middle. They're willing to listen. Because I talk to these guys. Every trip I go on that train, 8-10 hours, that guy's I can't stop. So I drive them a little bit nuts, right? And then, well, my last name is Munir. They call me the end is Munir, right? It's on my union jacket.